Hello you lot, Miller Corner here and welcome back to Secondhand Superheroes, the series that shows you how to get the same experience as your dream car but on a much more affordable price range. Today we're talking sports cars, specifically for me one of the very best on the market right now, and that is the Toyota GT86. When it came out in 2012, the GT86 was heralded as being a proper old school back to basics rear wheel drive experience. Manual gearbox, just enough power to get out of its own way, and rear wheel drive coupled with a limited slip diff that meant there was plenty of fun available without any modern interferences. Even now it remains one of few new cars I would actually buy. That is if they didn't cost around £25,000. Okay, so that might be pretty cheap for a brand new sports car, but come on, who's got that kind of money to spend? So if you fancy yourself a two-door sports car that's fun to drive, good looking and won't break the bank, here are three second-hand superhero alternatives to the mighty Toyota GT86. A pretty obvious cheap GT86 alternative would be an old MX-5, but you know me, I don't run with the pack, so my first second-hand superhero of choice is a left field one, specifically the Alfa Romeo GTV. Those of you that saw my Festival Italia video will know quite why and how much I love the GTV, and even back in the day they were praised for being just as much fun to drive as many of the era's rear-wheel drive cars. Some people might turn their nose up at the front-wheel drive Alfa, but I absolutely love them, and I think for around 1500 quid for a decent one, you can't go wrong. You might imagine that that pretty face is hiding all manner of expensive and difficult repairs, but you'd be wrong because the GTV is actually surprisingly simple and sound mechanically. The GTV's 2-litre twin-spark engine was praised for being revvy, relatively economical and generally all-round reliable. The only thing worth checking are the cam belts. They have to be done every 36,000 miles or 3 years, and if you are buying one, either make sure it's been done at one of those milestones or budget a few hundred quid to get it done. The twin-spark's power delivery is nice and linear, consistent throughout the rev range, so if there are any flat spots up at the red line, it might indicate a failed mass airflow sensor, so budget a replacement for one of those. On the earlier 2-litre cars, rear suspension bushes are known to wear out prematurely, so listen for knocking noises from the rear when going over bumps. Thankfully, these days there are plenty of specialists that offer upgraded items that are better than original. Most 90s and noughties Alphas do have complex electrics, so when you're driving the car, make sure that all the lights come on and go off as they should do, and that everything electric works. Anything that isn't working properly is going to require expensive and complex diagnostics and repairs. Keep an eye on these few little things though, and what you've got in the Alfa GTV is a cheap, gorgeous and fun to drive coupe that will make you stand out from the crowd in a big way. The want for one of these things is serious, and don't be surprised if you see one on the channel at some point. If you're looking for a GT86 alternative though, chances are you want something rear-wheel drive and Japanese, but thankfully if you've got around £3.5 grand to spend, I've got just the car for you, and that is the often forgotten Nissan 350Z. Often called a Japanese muscle car by some people, I just don't think the 350Z gets the love that it deserves. I reckon they look awesome, that VQ35 engine sounds wicked, and there are plenty of modifications around to make your 350Z absolutely epic to look at, listen to and drive. What's more, considering the power you get, at bare minimum 286 of them, they're a pretty damn good buy for around £3.5 grand. But they were a near 30 grand car when new, so when you're paying around a tenth of that, there are things you need to look out for. For a start, pre-2006 cars are known to burn oil as a result of failed piston rings, and it will lunch the engine. By the time you get an oil light or any noticeable smoke, it's too late, the engine is already gone. The standard cats in a 350 are so good that they often hide any burnt oil smoke, so when you're looking at a 350 to buy one, check the oil level to make sure it's up to the right point, and quiz the seller on how often they've been checking it and topping it up. The exhaust are known to split at the junction where the catalytic converters are. Listen for a blowing on idle and when you're driving around, and if it is knackered, you're going to need around £1,000 for an OEM replacement. That said, that might be the perfect opportunity you need to bolt an aftermarket system on, and when you do, you unleash an awesome V6 soundtrack. Clicking from the rear axles is fairly common at low speeds, but don't worry about it. It often just indicates the drive shafts need to come out and get re-greased. It's an afternoon's job for most DIY mechanics, and it does not point to anything worse than a little bit of time on the driveway. The clutch on the 350 is pretty strong and should last around 40,000 miles with general use, but be careful because if the one you're looking at has got a worn out clutch, you're going to be looking at around £500 to change it. Inside, the 350 is pretty damn solid. The plastics are a bit scratchy, but they're hard wearing. The only thing you have to watch is that when the doors are opened, the windows should drop slightly and then go back up again once you shut the doors. Make sure that this happens, because if it doesn't, you might get water ingress, and I don't need to tell you why that would be a bad thing. There are a few serious issues to watch out for, but make sure you avoid any of these problems, get a good, preferably stock one, and what you've got in the Nissan 350Z is a good looking, fast, fun to drive and fairly unusual car that only gets even more epic when you modify it. Mighty Car Mods made a wicked job of theirs, and maybe this might inspire you to create your own JDM V6 beast. The 350 is a wicked car for around £3.5 grand, but if you up your budget to around £5 grand, you'll be able to get yourself into one of my achievable dream cars. You probably know about it if you've spent any time watching this channel, and that is the Honda S2000. Whenever I see an S2000, I go absolutely mental over them. I think they still look awesome and modern even today, they sound absolutely incredible, and even from the factory they're a really well sorted, fast, sharp handling and awesome sounding sports car. Of course you can modify them, but for me there's just nothing the S2000 is really crying out for, which means you can buy one and just enjoy it right from the start. But to enjoy it you need to buy a good one, and there are a few things to look out for. For a start, that wicked 2-litre engine is known to burn a lot of oil, around a litre every 800 miles in fact. Honda actually advises to check the oil every week, so if you go to look at a car and you can hear bearing knock on startup, they clearly haven't been checking it, and that engine is probably toast. Suspension bushes on the S2000 start to go at around 80,000 miles, which cause quite a few clonks and knocks when going over bumps. Don't be put off, because hey, it even gives you an excuse to put some poly bushes in it. The factory undersealer was kept deliberately light to save weight because race car, so thoroughly inspect the underside of an S2000 for rust, and when you do buy one, wax oil it immediately and thoroughly. That said, bodywork rust is pretty much unheard of, and the bonnet is actually aluminium, so there's no worries on that front. Finally, check the carpets and interior for damp. The hood is known to leak around the A-pillars, and if it has already leaked, it's going to be complex and costly to put right, so if you do see damp carpets, walk away. That said, if you can avoid all these things, the S2000 for me is the best car you can buy under £5,000. If insurance prices were just a little bit more reasonable, you can be sure that I would already have one. So there you have it, 3 awesome fun 2-door sports cars for a fraction of the price of a brand new GT86. The Toyota is a wicked car, new or used, and when prices are below 10 grand I can recommend it even more. But if you want sports car thrills now, here are 3 second-hand superheroes you cannot go wrong with. So what car do you want to see some second-hand superhero alternatives to next? What car are you lusting after but you just can't stretch to financially? Let me know in the comments below, because I want to give you the same experience as your dream car but for a much more affordable price. Thanks so much for watching everybody, I really appreciate it. If you liked it, don't forget to give the video a big old thumbs up, and also subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you are notified when a new Miller Corner video is released. But for now, thanks once again for watching everybody, and have a brilliant rest of your day. See you soon, and have a good one.